What's up, everyone? So obviously today I'm doing something a little different. We're going to do a little bit of a longer video. Why? Because I have to fucking tell you guys about this. So I just kind of wanted to tell you guys about someone you may have heard of already, but I promise you have not heard enough. So this guy was such a bamf, he actually saved George Washington, not once, but fucking twice. He kind of kept the Revolutionary War fucking going. Not only that, he was kind of there when the whole fucking thing kicked off. It's kind of fucking nuts. Now, most people, I'd say, kind of recognize the name Hercules Mulligan. But most people kind of recognize the name from the famous Tony-winning Broadway musical Hamilton. But who is this operator? Okay, so this guy's family was the O'Mulligans. It was basically a family of chiefs and bards. And so basically badasses and musicians. I mean, sort of. So basically they were called Princes of Moylifi, and they served as hereditary bards to the O'Reillys in County Cavan. Hereditary bards were essentially professional poets, they were historians and musicians, and they actually passed their skilled, revered role down through generations for like a particular clan or noble household. They preserved oral history, composed praise poems for patrons, and I mean, these guys were highly educated. Like, they went through, like, rigorous training in bardic schools. So, anyway, the Mulligans say that they actually have, like, a royal lineage. Historically, the family claims descent from Meletius. He was the king of Spain, through his son, or heir. I have no idea if I'm saying that right. Fast forward just a little bit, and the Mulligans enrolled in the Society of United Irishmen, which was a revolutionary nationalist organization founded in Belfast in 1791. They basically aimed to unite Protestants, Catholics, and dissenters for radical parliamentary reform, Catholic emancipation, and Irish independence from Britain, basically inspiring the failed 1798 rebellion and influencing future Irish republicanism despite its suppression. Sound kind of familiar? Because I feel like this shit's been going on for a long time. A very, very long time. And I mean, if you ever watched The Sons of Anarchy, into this world, then you might at least be familiar with the real IRA. It's kind of the modern version, just more violence, I guess. The Real Irish Republican Army is a dissident Irish Republican paramilitary group that actually split from the Provisional IRA in 1997. So they basically were opposing the peace process and seeking a united Ireland through continued armed struggle, famously responsible for the devastating 1998 Omagh bombing that killed 29 civilians. And later they merged with other factions in 2012 to become the new IRA, though it still claims the Irish Republican Army mantle. Alright, so that's the guy's family, right? Flash forward to 1740, and Hercules Mulligan is born on September 25th in Northern Ireland. His family then immigrates to New York City in 1746 when Hercules is only 6 years old. So, in the early 1760s, Hercules attends King's College, now Columbia University. Then, the tea-drinking liberal sissy redcoats decide to introduce the Stamp Act in 1765. This was basically a British law that imposed a direct tax on American colonists, and it required stamps on all printed paper goods, including things like legal documents, newspapers, and even fucking playing cards. And it was all to raise revenue for Britain after the French and Indian War. Now, it sparked widespread colonial protests under the cry of taxation without representation, and it led to boycotts and violence against stamp distributors. This is where Hercules becomes one of the first members of the Sons of Liberty. So, the Sons of Liberty actively protest British taxation, like the Stamp Act, and they defend colonists' rights using both civil disobedience and sometimes violence when it was necessary.
I choose violence.
And this includes orchestrating the fucking Boston Tea Party. Yeah, like, you might actually recognize some key figures, I don't know, like Sam Adams, or maybe John Hancock, or I don't know, how about fucking Paul Revere? Like, these guys and their actions unified colonists and actually spurred the resistance against British rule, which is what led to independence. Just saying. So Hercules would then go on to participate in the Battle of Golden Hill, which was an early beatdown between the Sons of Liberty and British soldiers in 1770. And even though historians will say there was no decisive winner, I'd like to say that the Liberty Boys won. I mean, you kind of have to win the war if you actually want to dictate winners and losers. At least that's how it is in my book. Anyway, in 1772 to 1773, Mulligan was introduced to Alexander Hamilton through his brother Hugh. So Hamilton, actually then comes to live with Mulligan while he's attending King's College. And it's during this time that Mulligan's patriot views kind of red-pilled Hamilton and got him to understand that the British were a bunch of bitches and the American cause was the fucking way to go. America! Fuck yeah! So dude gets the OG Alexander Hamilton to realize America is the way to go, and AH becomes a fucking founding father. I'm just saying, what have you done today? So if that wasn't inspiring enough, after helping create one of our founding fathers, Hercules goes on to get married on October 27, 1773 to Elizabeth Sanders. This chick is literally the fucking niece of a British admiral, Charles Sanders. Pulling one of the enemy's princesses is cold as fuck. I mean, it's just insane work. Then, in 1774, Hercules opens a tailoring and haberdashery shop in New York City, catering to high-ranking British officers. This becomes kind of important. Now, in 1775, Mulligan joins the Corsicans, a volunteer militia. So, on the night of August 23rd to 24th, 1775 in New York City, Mulligan helps capture British cannons from the battery, while the HMS Asia decides to start doing a cannon-sized drive-by, so they just start bombarding and blasting Patriot militia, attempting to seize the cannons with one cannonball, famously crashing through the roof of France's Tavern. Angry Irishmen, and you shoot the fucking tavern. Probably a bad idea. You fucked up. And I'm not saying that that's what led to the beatdown to come, but I wouldn't be surprised either. Just to put it in perspective, right after this happens, Mulligan is actually there for the statue of King George III in New York City being torn down on July 9th, 1776. And shortly after the Declaration of Independence was read, by the way, then these motherfuckers actually go and have the lead melted down to create over 40,000 musket balls for the Continental Army, so they can basically just pop caps on the redcoats' ass. Then, if that wasn't gangster enough for you, they then took the head of the statue and sent it back to England as a giant middle finger. Fuck you, England! Fuck you! Fuck you! As if all that wasn't gangsta enough for you, later in 1776, the British occupied New York. Mulligan remained fucking posted up in the city to gather intelligence for America. I mean, he basically utilized his tailoring business to listen in on British officers and track troop movements via, uniform orders. And so basically, he would just kind of have, the British soldiers, drinking wine, just kind of getting shitty and just shooting the shit with them. And then he would pay attention to the orders, for the red uniforms, take everything that he knew and then kind of track where the enemy was, where they were going, or even what it was they were doing altogether. I mean, dude was affiliated, right? And he was actually with the Culper Spy Ring in 1778, which, was just dispatching intelligence and ass whoopings all over at this point. And if you didn't know, the Culper Spy Ring was an American intelligence network. It was established by General George Washington and Major Benjamin Talmadge. The motherfuckers provided vital information on British troop movements and naval operations for 5 years. 5 goddamn years undefeated. They didn't have a single member unmasked by British. Not one. So believe it or not, an enslaved servant named Cato actually helped get much of the information gathered by Mulligan where it needed to be, and is himself a fucking absolute boss and definitely ain't no snitch. So when Cato was he was caught and just absolutely beaten without mercy, he still wouldn't flip on his boys. I'm just saying, Cato was a fucking G, and I feel like nobody even knows he exists. Speaking of G's, Hercules Mulligan actually saved G. Washington the first time in 1779. So basically what happens is some young dumb motherfucking redcoat officer, he just accidentally says a little bit too much while he's basically in a hurry to get his uniform, and bro damn near tells Mulligan everything about a mission to capture the rebel general. So Hercules, being the fucking badass, he says, "I bet." Gets the word out to Washington immediately with his servant Cato, and he basically rolls out, delivers the crucial warning, and Washington just sidesteps the enemy ambush.
You just throw the cards up in the air right now.
Oh, Allen Iverson.
In 1780 to 1781, Hercules Mulligan is arrested and charged with treason following that bitch-ass Benedict Arnold's defection. So, Mulligan, being the fucking legend that he is, he successfully talks his way out of trouble and gets released. After bullshitting his way out of prison, he goes on to yet again save George Washington's life. So, Mulligan's brother, Hugh, he discovered that British forces were being sent to Connecticut to intercept Washington. So again, Mulligan says, I bet, warns Washington of the British plot to intercept him on his way to meet the French general in Rhode Island. And once again, Washington just kind of sidesteps the enemy. Now, November 25th of 1783, on Evacuation Day, George Washington actually visits Mulligan's shop for breakfast, and he just kind of orders some new threads, right? Now, a lot of historians say that this public display was to protect Mulligan from being labeled a loyalist collaborator. Like, didn't want his boy labeled as a redcoat simp. However, I kind of call bullshit. So, if you look into it for more than a minute, you quickly see that Mulligan was indeed a loud, pissed-off Irish lad who gave zero fucks. He was pretty involved with everything in New York. He was just very active and outspoken about his patriotic beliefs. So I doubt the people in his city actually thought that he was a British cuck. So I kind of think that G. Washington was actually just coming to think his bro. I mean, dude literally saved his ass twice. I mean, I'd be going to man's house and be dapping him up real quick too. I'm just saying. So, but what the fuck do I know? I'm just an idiot on YouTube. Anyway, after the war settled down in 1785, Mulligan becomes a founding member of the New York Manumission Society, advocating for the abolition of slavery. I want you to think about that for a moment. Like, that early on, this dude was already standing up for what he believed to be right, and he was trying to make a change. I mean, dude gave Cato his freedom the moment he was legally able. Like, you fast forward, and in 1792, Mulligan was still in charge of Washington's drip, and he just continued to be his tailor all throughout his presidency. I mean, the guy is just an absolute fucking legend. And Hercules Mulligan, he basically goes on, he retires from his tailoring business at the age of 80 in 1820. And March 4th, 1825, at the ripe old age of 84, he passes away. Now, I just want you to understand that this was the 1800s. The global life expectancy at birth was low. I mean, it was like 30 to 40 years max. Just surviving childhood was a fucking accomplishment, right? But he's buried in the Trinity Churchyard in Manhattan near his friend Alexander Hamilton.
Good night, sweet prince.
So there you have it. That's the story of fucking Hercules Mulligan. The guy was an absolute legend. I feel like people just don't hardly know a thing about him. The most anybody knows is that, oh yeah, he's the dude that raps in the Hamilton play. Yeah, but the guy was a fucking, like, actual G. You know, he literally saved Washington's life 2 different fucking times. He put his life on the line. Guy talks his way out of fucking prison. And I mean, I just don't know how you can be any more of a badass. Like, dude was like the original fucking CIA. Just insane. Insane fucking work, right? And most of the time, people have no idea who the fuck he even is. But, yeah. He's actually one of the reasons that America is what it is today. If it wasn't for him, the Revolutionary War could have stopped very quickly. So, now you know.